It's great to hear a young Irish footballer self-confident enough to go, yeah, I'm going to play. I'm going to play where the manager wants me to play. But not like, oh, it'll be up to him to pick me and I'll just be glad to be in the squad. It's like, yeah, I'm going to play because I'm really good.
And he wants to take the ball. He wants to change play. He wants to pass forward. He's doing things that, frankly, our midfielders haven't been doing for a long time. And maybe Martin O'Neill, we played three at the back, and he spoke about the Turkey game as well, where he played Declan Rice himself, where he played in the back three, looked excellent, stepped into midfield, looked even better, started the last couple of games in midfield, and he's been the standout player. 19, we talk about putting too much pressure on the players, but if he wants to play, wants to enjoy it, just go with it. I mean, there's no
Get as many of those lads in the team as you can.
Totally. You can clearly tell he's confident. He's not brash. He's not overly confident. He's just, I want to take it. Look, this is where I've played. I've come through a system where I'm comfortable on the ball. I want to be part of this squad. Clearly, he enjoys being around the Irish squad. Clearly, he enjoys even being part of Noel King's under 21 squad, where he's played senior football the following few days. He's joined back up with Noel King's under 21s. He wants to be part of something. So just let him play. He's good enough. He's more than good enough now. He's performing. If you see his ball for the second goal that we scored, how many times do you see a ball when it's played back to a full-back or to a midfield player, the position he was, you just swing a cross in, and he had the vision and the awareness just to cut it back to James McLean then create the goal for Alan Judge, the last-minute winner. It's just quality. He's a quality footballer, so he has to play now. And it's not. I wouldn't want to say I wouldn't want to be as strong and say you build your team around him, but it's almost the fact is now you go, I'll tell you what, now we have, if we're playing three midfielders, if we're playing two midfielders, he will be part of a three or a two in midfield now. That's the way it seems to me.
As opposed to in the defence, because actually he's more valuable to us there now.
Well, you can play him in a three at the back, but personally, I'd want to play him further forward simply because of how he created the second goal. We've not had I think that has been the key area we've been lacking, Joe, over the last couple of years, and I really think that. I think we've gone so much, I think probably overboard at times on Wes Hoolahan, because he's the player that's able to take the ball, and whether that be drive forward with it, but he's certainly one that would always take the ball. We've not had midfield players prepared to take the ball, I think, and then be prepared when they get on the ball to switch the play, take it on the back foot, take it away from where opposition are, and switch play, passing forward. I don't think we've done it enough. Declan Rice, particularly in the second half, he was just doing it with just such ease. So I would prefer to see him play with how he played at the weekend in midfield,
Yeah. Any concerns about the fact that there's been that change in manager at club level, and a new manager comes in, it's like, well, I'm going to play a 19-year-old in the Premier League. No, I'm not. I'm going to go with the guy that I'm going to spend 15 million.
Pellegrini's got the remit of turning him into an England centre half, hasn't he, Declan Rice? So we'll see how that one goes. But there's a concern. There's always a tendency when a new manager comes in, particularly a manager of Pellegrini's standing, is to get more experienced players in. They'll see the age rather than the talent.
Yeah.
And they'll get somebody else in potentially who is substandard on, certainly as equal, or certainly no better than Declan Rice. And there's always a tendency to go with that player because of the experience. Because he's 19, because of his age, there's always a tendency to overlook that. But I personally think now he's proved it now, that's it.
And West Ham at least have that track record of developing talent.
Yeah.
And they'll want to develop, especially with the situation with regards to the stadium being such a shit show over the last 12 months that they need something to point to and say, no, we're bringing our own players through, we're hanging our hat on this guy, even though he made some mistakes towards the end of last season, he's recovered from them. And sorry, that was the other thing, it was like, so it was somebody who came off the back of a brilliant season with a few mistakes at the end of the year, and then it was like, no, I'm really confident I'm playing here. None of that sense of hangover from that.
He spoke about his mistakes that he made in the lead up to the France game last week, just saying, I made mistakes, that's the way that it is, and he did, but that's just the way that it is. Everybody at his age, everyone across a career, no matter what age you are, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make howlers that's going to cost goals, particularly if you're a centre half, if he's playing the position that he is. I think that shows his maturity and the responsibility that's maybe been given to him for West Ham, and how much belief they've got in him, that they're actually prepared to go, tell you what, we're going to play centre half, we're in a relegation battle, and we're playing you.
Well, because we had this debate, Johnny Ward was sitting there and he was like, he thought that David Moyes had thrown him under the bus. I actually, when you read the quotes, it felt like David Moyes had thrown him under the bus about the young lad making the mistake and you just got to clear it. But actually when you heard him say it, he was calm enough about it. It was like, he made mistakes. And rather than pretending it didn't happen, this is the Premier League. you're going to make mistakes, you're going to get called out for them, and he bounced back from them. So ultimately, I think that Moyes handled the whole situation quite well in that respect, but.
And he does. He's very good. He was very good defensive coach as well, David Moyes. So he'll know. He would have learnt a lot from David Moyes, maybe in the short space of time he's been with him. Yeah.
Anything else from the Ireland game before we move on?
Well, I think. I just look at Neil O'Regan has done a good piece actually about the who's played well, who maybe needs to improve. Shane Duffy, of course, the usuals. Kevin Long, who's maybe starting to establish himself in the three. If they're going to play three at the back, it's looking. Kevin Long is now looking like it's going to be the preferred. Whether if we're playing in a two. Preferred partner Shane Duffy, impressive. Callum O'Dowd was the one that impressed me at the weekend. He was another one. Darryl Hogan came off the bench and did well, actually. He played 25, maybe 30 minutes. Made a big impression, particularly the suggestion is he's going to be leaving Preston as well, so he needs a move. So certainly good for him. But I was particularly impressed with Callum O'Dowd over the two games, particularly on Saturday, with his ability to drive forward from midfield. Again, if we're playing a three-man midfield, and Rice will be one of those, I suggest. Callum O'Dowd are looking to me like he's starting to stake a claim for himself to be playing in that midfield now.
Okay, so the new Ireland is beginning to take shape. If it is a three-man defence, is that more likely that he'll stick Rice in and actually go with?
Possibly, but I don't know. I mean, at the weekend we've got Lenihan, we've got Duffy, yes, we've got Long. We've got enough, I think, defensively. Certainly as a back three where I think you can actually, you can think, yeah, we've got enough here. I mean, Matt Doherty was one that missed out the weekend, probably a little bit unfortunate to miss out as well. We had Enda Stevens, who's played a lot of games in the Championship for Sheffield United this season as well. We've got enough defensive experience, I feel, there, where you're actually, look, let's try and get on the ball and get a player who's prepared to take the ball. Push Rice forward and play. If you're playing, you could see why he played Declan Rice in the back three, because he's the one that's going to step in. He's the one that maybe start attacks going forward. But with what he did for that second goal, suggests to me that you might need to play him a bit further forward. That's my only thing with it, I suppose. Really, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I want to move on to the Loris Karius situation, where it has emerged that Karius has suffered a concussion in that incident with Sergio Ramos in the Champions League final. Fenway Sports Group flew him over to Massachusetts and had him analysed by the top concussion doctors there, who obviously would be working, I think, with the New England Patriots, and they've released this statement. What's the purpose of the statement, do you think, and what will the longer and medium term impact on the sport itself be? Let's talk about why they've done this.
Yeah, well, that is football in general has basically turned its back on concussion for probably too long now. It has. It's the old adage, he's grand, you're fine, get on with it. You know, lads have taken an elbow, taken a knock to the head. It's just get on with it. Basically, it is. That's what it is. Now, bearing in mind, yes, we rarely see this type of incident. It won't necessarily be a regular occurrence in every game, but when it happens, you've got to actually respect it. We have to respect, I think, concussion in general. I think across the game, and it hasn't necessarily been the case. Certainly across the course of my career, certainly since I've finished, there's a reluctancy to even talk about it. There's a reluctancy to even recognise it at times. So I think this highlights an issue that's been swept under the carpet for too long. That's the overriding factor probably from it. Now, yeah, you mentioned there, he went to Boston to get analysed by the Liverpool own doctors, their specialist team. The cynic within me would say the only way he would actually recover as a Liverpool player if this sort of statement was released on his behalf because of the way that it actually happened in the game, because of the disastrous final that he's had. Immediately in the aftermath, you're thinking, could he play for Liverpool again? If he plays and he has a few decent games, yes, okay, but there'll always be that nagging thought in Liverpool supporters' mind is that final, and if he does make a slight mistake or he makes a slight error, that nervousness, that tension will still be created, and it almost if that was his Liverpool career finished. So this with this statement, it does give him some sort of way out, some sort of chance to progress again.
Completely, right? I mean, that like absolutely gives him the opportunity to re-establish himself next season as a valuable footballer and as somebody with a career. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I did have a horrific experience where I completely lost the flight of the ball and where I didn't see that there was a giant human being 2 feet from me that I threw the ball off. Like, you know, it makes perfect sense if you're concussed that you would be making those mistakes. It doesn't speak very well of the game itself that he didn't feel, or that the Liverpool bench didn't think, look, Sergio Ramos just whacked him one with, like, let's check
I
him out
actually
there.
didn't see it during the game. It was something that they totally overlooked, and it's only then when the pictures then came back, particularly after the Salah incident with Ramos, that you're thinking, look, he's totally hijacked Liverpool's chances of winning a Champions League final here. But when you see it, you can see it clearly. He goes into him, he smashes Karius. Basically, he does Karius. Very lucky to stay on. Not as much the Salah incident. Personally, you knew exactly what he was doing within that, but I wouldn't necessarily think that was a sending off offence. But that one was, because he's done him. He's done Karius. When you see the pictures back, see it in slow motion, he has done Karius, and Karius clearly felt it, as you say, the suggestion is that, well, I personally think along the sort of lines of you, why on earth haven't the medics tested him out? Now, you asked the player, how are you feeling? The player would always say, 99 times out of 100 is, I'm fine to get on with it, no problems at all, no issues, no worries. So that is the thing. It's more the other side of it.
Well, let me play you this, because I think the other side of it is exactly this. I'll just show you this rather. It's Chris Sutton. This is a screen grab from him. He's speaking on 5 Live. So we can, I think, just read this. I think it should have been kept under wraps. Chris Sutton, this is him. There's a video that 5 Live have posted on Twitter this morning. And Chris Sutton is a really interesting pundit, but he's basically making the case that there's no reason for this information to become public. And then David Priest, the goalkeeper, who we had on the show last week, says, not sure why it shouldn't be known if Karius is a genuine concussion. This only emphasises and continues the culture of covering up concussion at the risk of long-term damage. Yeah, Sutton's attitude is the old school, this is nobody's business. And Priest goes on, we stick that one up as well, to be fair to Karius, the first time I was concussed, I couldn't remember being hit by Mark Viduka and showed no visible signs of concussion apart from a short-term memory loss that lasted 48 hours, days, and ended hospitalised for 4 days and unable to train for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I lost the 2 following days in the previous 24 hours from my memory after that incident and suffered 7 subsequent concussions over the years, made susceptible by just a glancing blow from a knee. Don't mess about with head injuries.
Yeah, that is a thing. It's across the course of my career, I don't recall too many. I don't recall anyone who's missed games with concussion when clearly they would have been concussed at some stage. Clearly, across a 20-year career, I probably would have been concussed myself without actually realising that I actually was.
When the ball lands in your head and you get under the flight of the ball, you see stars. That's a concussion.
Yeah,
that's exactly what that is.
How many times we've seen it? Someone's lining up to smash a free kick, and someone just sticks the head down like that, expecting, and you just get a crack, and you see stars. That's exactly what it is. You get that minute or two after where you're actually dazed and you don't realise what's happening, and. Minute or two, who's to say it's not 10 minutes, but you're thinking it's quick. David Priest has got the tone right there, I feel, because it has been overlooked for too long, and particularly from keepers, when goalkeepers are going up, it was always the old one, put it up on the keeper, he's not great on crosses, let's get bodies around him, let's lay one on him, and that's the way that it's always been, and he would have felt it more than ever. Maybe someone like David Priest, he's felt that, he's been cracked, and it doesn't take much then after it. As you said, what they say, eight or so concussions after that incident. It isn't great at all. It's not. And that's with Karius. Yes, just in relation to what Chris Sutton is saying there. Chris Sutton said he doesn't realise, he doesn't see the benefit in actually getting this out. Of course, there's a benefit. It's the Fenway Sports Group by getting this out. It's they're protecting an asset. They're protecting their own interest. Of course, they're protecting Karius for the human side of it.
They're explaining the inexplicable.
Yeah. They have to do something. They felt they may be compelled to get this checked out, to get him sorted, and this gives him a way out. That's the thing I would say with Karius. It gives him a chance to go and progress now and play some more games.
And hopefully makes people more conscious of the fact that concussion is a serious thing. It's a proper brain injury. You need to be really careful with it.
Yeah.
It's treatable if it's diagnosed, but if you don't diagnose it and keep pretending that it isn't there, it's going to make it much worse. Let's talk about Sané not being in the German squad. Great pictures of his poster being torn down. This is, I think, the German Football Museum, because he's not in the squad. There was just an assumption that he would be, I think, when you've got a talent like Leroy Sané. Surely you bring him to a tournament, you let him bed into the squad, you show him the culture, if not for now, at least for 2 and 4 years down the line when he should be one of the best players in your team.
Well, that's the thing. If you think back to Germany in 06, and it was an experimental squad for them, and they were brilliant. So many youngsters that went through and played the next couple of tournaments for them, they were just incredible, weren't they? If you think back to that was always the German ethos, or certainly the most recent one. It was like, let's give these lads time.
Jogi Löw was in the backroom team in 06. He was Klinsmann's assistant.
He was, and then of course he took over it immediately. Then you're looking at 10, and of course winning it in 14, and how they actually won it. I think we looked at him in the Premier League this season, and we were thinking this lad could be one of the stars of the tournament. I wasn't really too aware of the fact is that he's not really fit into how Jogi Löw has played in the last year or two. The system that they're playing now at the moment doesn't necessarily suit him, and he feels as though that he's got backup wingers as it is, and if necessary, he doesn't necessarily see Leroy Sané as being that fifth choice. That was the thing. So he felt as though that I could actually go with somebody else to bring him in and leave him out. The other suggestion as well, and this is the one, Rafa Honigstein actually wrote a piece on ESPN as well around this one, saying that yes, he doesn't fit in tactically, doesn't necessarily fit in other ways, but it's more off the field. It's more he doesn't fit in within that group, within that squad. He doesn't feel as though that Sané's attitude is perhaps, there was a suggestion that Sané's attitude within there, perhaps maybe he's got an ego, perhaps a little bit big time. That is the suggestion of Sané, and that's why Jogi Löw has left him out.
Which I guess if you are in charge of a team that's won the World Cup, you're like, do we really need a big time Charlie around here? I mean, everybody else has World Cup winners.
Particularly when you're away for 6 weeks. You're away for 6 weeks potentially. If you win the World Cup, you're away for 6 weeks. If there is any sort of ego, if there is any suggestion that he doesn't quite fit in within that squad, yes, I understand it to an extent. We only need to look at Deschamps that he did with what's the lad that played at Arsenal and Man City. I'll tell you in a sec now. Tommy will probably be in me in a sec here, but he left him out anyway. He left him out the squad. The suggestion was, no, he doesn't fit in with my squad. Doesn't fit in with my plans. Big time Charlie. Don't like him. Not having him in the squad. We're away for a major tournament. That was in the Euros, and we're not going to pick him. That was it. Karim Benzema's a different issue, I suppose, as well with that one with France. We know that, but certainly it was.
Dallas.
No. City and Arsenal. He's still playing. The lad that went off to America and got the drug thing and got the
Sami Nasri.
Sami Nasri. There you go.
Yeah.
I always forget these names. So that was what Didier Deschamps did. Attitude was wrong. Didn't pick him. So I understand it a little bit to an extent around major tournaments like this, but. Imagine having that talent to come off the bench if you're struggling for a goal. Change the system. Let's get him into the game. It's a big one. It's a big one.
It doesn't feel like the tactical thing holds up less to me.
Yeah, the tactical one doesn't sit with me at all. It's certainly that has been suggested in a number of papers today, and a few of the online stuff that you'd read. A bit of the online stuff you'd read is his attitude is the big thing why Jogi Löw has left him out.